found myself face to face with none other than Jesus Christ, the Son of God, someone that I thought was just some old Jewish legend that that people had made up to create whatever. And I'm looking at this figure and the magnificence of this figure, not just the look of intense love and concern for me, but this golden light flowed out of him from all, seemed to start at his head and flow down his body. And it was light that behaved like slow moving water. It flowed off him and it flowed down that slope. And I fell to my knees and tried to crawl toward him. I had to get closer. And it was as though I had finally come home, that I had found what I had searched for all my life. And I started to crawl toward him and to get closer. And then his eyes looked into mine. And when I looked into those eyes of gray and green and blue, I was lost in the love of eternity. This magnificent creature knew me too, but this was a creature of love and forgiveness and desired to know me better. And for a split second, and Randy, you probably experienced this too, although my intellect knew better, it was as though when my eyes met his, it was as though I was the only one in creation, the only one he had ever created. He knew me that intimately and loved me that deeply. And it was a moment that I knew from then on that whatever happened to me, I was his forever, forever. But I just wanted to be around him. And I tried to crawl closer to him, and two guardians appeared beside me and held me back. And I struggled free and continued to climb toward him. And suddenly he raised his right hand, and there was no mistaking what the gesture meant. He was still smiling in a gentle way, but this was a definite command to stop. And I remember the feeling inside of me of not being allowed to come closer. And I waited with, I don't know, bated breath, I guess, if I was breathing, but I was just completely enveloped in the love of his eyes. And then I guess I must have taken another step or two or crawled on my knees, and I heard all of a sudden he raised his hand even higher. And Randy, when he raised his hand, his cloak fell back, and I saw the remains of the crucifixion. And then he looked intently at me and he began to speak to me. And people say to me, what did it sound like? How can I possibly, I attempt to, but how can I possibly be accurate? But suddenly I heard his voice, and with him, unlike the angels, which was more of a telepathy, not telepathy, but a mind thing, Jesus' face moved just as you or I would, speaking to each other. And then I heard the voice of the Son of God, and it stunned me that he knew my name. He knew me. And he looked at me with the gentlest of smiles, hand still raised, meaning to not come forward. And he said to me, James, my son, this is not yet your time. Go back and tell your brothers and sisters of the wonders we have shown you. And his hand slowly came down and crossed over his left.
You'll be leaving the service now in just a moment. You can make the same commitment and the same decision that these are making. And the same Christ that will come into their hearts and give them assurance will do the same for you. You may be sitting at a bar somewhere. Maybe you're in your living room at home, or maybe you're in a friend's home. Maybe you're in some unusual place that I couldn't even think of at the moment. And you need Christ and you need God in your life. You can receive Him right now, and He can bring about a tremendous change. And then go to church on Sunday. Have a talk with a minister. Tell him the decision that you've made. And get to work for Christ. And live in this brand new dimension of living, the spiritual dimension. Good night, and God bless you.